I'm going to show you how to create a photo collage using Pixlr. If you are in my class, which I'm pretty sure all of you are, you learn the basics of photo editing on Pixlr in November and December, so you'll use those skills to create these photo collages. So what we're going to do first is go to pixlr.com, and you don't have to log in. You don't even have to create a login. You can use Pixlr without being logged in. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. We're going to use Pixlr E and remove BG. I want to have two pages open because we're going to be using them simultaneously. So I'm going to double click up here and I'm going to hit duplicate. And then I have two tabs now with Pixlr. So on this first tab, I'm going to go to Pixlr E. Here's an example of one that I created earlier with some civil rights leaders, and I'm going to show you how to do something similar to this. We'll do a few less photos for the video just for the sake of time. So let's go to Create New, Full HD. Need to make this a little bigger so that we can get that Create button. And there's our canvas. First thing we want to do is paint our canvas black. So layer 1, go to your color selector. Make sure you're on the color you want. You can have any color you want for your background. I'm using black because I'm going to use black and white photos. Go to your fill tool and then just click on that canvas and it should fill with black. All right, next, I've already found a picture of John Lewis and Martin Luther King Jr. and I removed the backgrounds. So I saved them to my desktop because it's easy to then drag into the project. I'll show you how I did that. I'm going to use Rosa Parks for my third person in this collage. So I want to find a picture of her that I'd like to use. So let's look for which image we want. Let's see, I'm going for black and white photos, so I kind of want to go with something. I already have Martin Luther King, so I don't want to use one of them together. I might go with this photo, although we'll try it. I'm going to try this picture and see if it removes him from the background as well, because I just want a picture of Rosa Parks right now. So I'm going to save this image to my device. And on my device, when I save, they go right down here, which is easy to drag into the editor, and I'll show you how I do that. So we opened a second page because we're going to use remove BG. That means remove background. I did show you guys how to manually remove a background, so you can do that, but this is faster. Now there's two different ways to open your image. I'm going to be dragging this into here. You could also click open image and find it in your files. So I'm going to drag it, drop it. Sometimes an error will pop up and it will not work. What I do is I refresh my page and just try again, and it has always worked for me. So if you're getting the error message, try refreshing right here and then doing it again. Just drag the image in, and you might have to try a couple times, but I found that it usually works. So it left a little bit of that background, but I can erase that once we put it into the project. So let's download it. And I'm actually going to drag this over to my desktop. Hit keep both because I don't want to delete anything. And there's my Rosa Parks picture. Okay, so let's go back to our project that we have right here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can see the full canvas. Let's drag, we'll just drag MLK in first. Sorry guys, I'm having some issues with my touchpad today. There we go. So I'm dragging that file in and I'm going to click add to current. Now this picture also had some things that did not get erased, and I'm going to show you how to correct that. So let's zoom in. This is when he's giving a speech. So some of the microphones and stuff were left behind. So I'm going to go to my eraser tool. I like to use a softer brush like this, or maybe even down here, because when you erase, it doesn't give you a harsh edge. So we can just start erasing some of those microphones that got left behind that we do not want. We just want MLK, no background. See how that soft edge allows me to get kind of close to his hand, but it doesn't give me like the harsh outline. And I can get, a little closer to his fingers. Try and get as much of that background as possible. Now, the more time you want to spend on this, the cleaner it'll be. So if you want to zoom in really close and get really close and get the hand, you know, super clean and erased, you can. It's just really dependent on how much time you're going to spend on your collage. So for the video, I'm going to leave it as that is. We'll talk about moving things around and resizing them in a little bit. We use the arrange tool to do that, right? So we'll move him off to the side for right now. All right, let's bring in Rosa. Really having issues with my touchpad. There we go. Add to current. So we got to do the same thing. I need to get rid of that little area that did not erase. Okay, there we go. We're not going to move her for right now. We'll just bring in John Lewis and then we'll get that sorted out. Okay, add to current. And let's make him a little smaller so that he doesn't get cut off the canvas. Now we can decide how we want to arrange these three within our canvas. So we have our layers over here. Our first layer is the background. Right now, MLK is behind John Lewis, so we can't see his hand, right? Because he's on the very bottom. Rosa is in the middle, and then John Lewis is our top layer. I might want to move MLK up to the top so that we can see his hand. See how that just appeared? And then I can enlarge his picture so they're overlapping each other. Maybe I like that. Maybe I want to move it up. However, you know, let's play around with arrangement. Maybe I want to move him down like this. So we can see what works for us. I can also flip that picture if I wanted him on this side. And then maybe Rosa, who is now our bottom layer, we can move her over. We can enlarge. Oops, see, I accidentally clicked on. I could put her over there. I'm not loving the harsh line from John Lewis's shoulder overlapping Rosa. So I'm going to click on the John Lewis layer and I'm going to go to my eraser tool. And I'm going to turn the opacity down. We did this, if you're in 8th grade, my students who did the kaleidoscope. So turn that opacity down. We want a larger brush. And we can kind of soften. I need to get rid of this, that edge where they overlap a little bit. Turn that down even more. See how it's erasing it, but not totally? Makes it look like they blend together a little bit more. And you know, I'm just being really picky right now with how these images are blending together. So for the sake of time, say we're happy with this. You can play around with things. Maybe, you know, MLK probably needs to be a little bit larger for composition purposes. We don't want him to be the smallest figure. They're all important. Okay, so there's some other things we can do. We can add text. So this T right here can add text. You can also click the plus sign over here and you can add a text layer. So if you wanted to add text, you could. So I didn't have a plan for this, but let's say civil rights leaders. We can change the color of our text. If I want it to stand out, make it white. We can pick different font. We can enlarge it. It's too big. And obviously we're not going to want to have it on top of their faces, so we can move it, you know, we could move it down. We could have it up here. There's other things. You guys, there's so many tools. You can play around with them. I can add an outline around the letters. So if maybe I want a black outline or maybe a colored outline like yellow. I can make it stand out. I don't think I like that. So you guys can play around with that, but if you wanted to have a colorful outline to make it glow, you could. I'm going to turn that off because I want this to look kind of classic with the black and white. So some other things we can do to this photo collage is, let's go to File, and you can go to Browse Elements, and there's borders. So if you wanted to add a border, now anything that has this little icon is premium, you have to pay for that. But they have free ones, like these are really pretty. That could look nice. Now my only issue is, look at, that's kind of covering up the image, right? I might be able to make it larger. I'm not sure if borders can be enlarged. I don't think so, but what I can do is I can turn the transparency down so that the border is still there, but it's not completely covering up my figures. I like that. I think that looks kind of cool. There's other effects too though. So if you go to Browse Elements, you can go to Overlay and you can add cool effects to, there was one that made it look like an older picture. A lot of these are premium, you have to pay for, but there are some that are free. So like, oh look, they have like these rose petals you could add. I don't think rose petals really go with the theme of this. This one might make it look more like an older photograph. So that could be interesting. Let's see. That's pretty cool. I kind of like that. So say I was happy with this photo collage. I want to save it and I'm done. So we want to go to File, Save, and you can just save it as a JPEG, press download, and then you open it up and look at that. Beautiful. There's my finished photo collage. If you're not done, you need to keep working on it, but you don't have time to work anymore and you're afraid you're going to lose it because you don't have an account. Even if you do have an account, I tell students, look at all these layers. We want to save this and we want to save it so all of our layers are saved and we can come back and keep editing. This is how you do it. Go to Save, File, Save, and save it as a PXD. What that will do is it will save your file with all of those layers. So it's saving, takes a moment. Make sure you give it a name that you'll remember, so don't leave it as untitled. Give it a new name and I'll show you what happens. So say I logged out and I lost my project, I can drag this in here and it will open my file with all of my layers still intact. So again, File, Save, PXD. That saves lives, and rename it too, okay? And yeah, that's it. Really just play around. There's a lot of cool different, effects and things you can do. I think the most important thing to know for photo collage is how to remove the background and then how to drag the photos in. Once you do that, you can really just experiment and you can play around with the pictures and have fun. Good luck.